Disney is facing another crisis as hundreds, yes, hundreds of subscribers are fleeing Disney Plus, and Bob Iger is left holding the handbag. 'Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Don't pull right down the side. Hi everyone, my name is Jacob Berry. Welcome to the StudioJake vidcast where I talk about all things pop culture. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and if you're watching on YouTube, ring that little bell so you get notifications when I post a new vidcast, and consider becoming a channel member. Bob Iger's baby. Well, he has several babies when it comes to his tenure as CEO of Disney, but his biggest baby was Disney Plus. Originally, Disney had some sort of deal with Comcast over Hulu, and you would spot various Disney titles on Hulu and sometimes on Netflix. Bob Iger wanted to enter the streaming wars by just having Hulu focus on ABC News and ABC, while Disney also was incorporated with ESPN to produce new original content. And at first, Disney had some success. People were logging on to check out films and TV shows from their childhood so that they can share them with their children and maybe even their grandchildren. But then they started adding other content, stuff related to Star Wars, to Willow, to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, also known as the MCU. That turned out to be a gamble that has not paid off because they gave those titles to a bunch of talentless hacks from Hollywood, like Harvey Weinstein's assistant, Leslie Headland, who was the showrunner for The Acolyte. As a result of this, customers began fleeing, turning to other streaming services, including the free one known as Tubi, which has only seen an upshot in subscribers. But for now, it is true. Hundreds, yes, hundreds of thousands of subscribers are fleeing Disney Plus for physical media, for alternative sources, and I guarantee you this will cause Iger a huge headache. This is according to That Park Place. Disney Plus just suffered a major decline, shedding 700,000 subscribers in the first quarter of 2025. The drop follows Disney's recent price hikes, which increased the cost of its ad-supported tier from $7.99 to $9.99 and its ad-free subscription from $13.99 to $15.99. Alongside the price hikes, Disney also began cracking down on password sharing, implementing a paid sharing system that restricts access to a single household unless subscribers pay an additional fee. Disney CEO Bob Iger tried to downplay the loss during an earnings call, stating that the subscriber churn wasn't as bad as expected. He argued that the price hikes were necessary to push Disney Plus toward profitability and framed the drop as a natural part of their strategy. However, with another subscriber decline already anticipated for Q2 2025, Iger's comments come across as little more than damage control. While Iger attempts to spin the numbers, the real question isn't just about pricing, it's about value. Why should customers pay more for a streaming service that isn't delivered much watch content? At its launch, Disney Plus positioned itself as the home for high-quality franchise content. With exclusive Marvel, Star Wars, and Pixar projects, it was supposed to be the go-to streaming service for fans of blockbuster entertainment. That hasn't panned out. And so then the article goes into a little bit about The Acolyte, which I mentioned earlier. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. And at this point, they mention the top 10 streaming shows on Disney Plus, which does not include The Acolyte. So continuing on. The lowest ranking show on that list, Netflix's Love is Blind, racked up 7.3 billion minutes, nearly 3 times as much as Disney Plus's second most watched show of the year. Disney's biggest show of the year, Percy Jackson and the Olympians, only garnered 3 billion minutes. That means even Disney's very best was nothing compared to the bottom of the top tier streaming content in 2024. So then they talk a little bit more about how this drop has affected other franchises like Marvel and Pixar and whatnot. And then they say, here's the fundamental problem for Disney Plus. Price hikes are only justifiable when customers feel like they're getting their money's worth. Right now, they clearly don't. The logic of raising cost assumes demand is strong enough to justify it, but the numbers tell a different story. If Star Wars and Marvel, the pillars of Disney Plus original content, are failing to sustain audience engagement, what reason do subscribers have to stick around? Iger insists that the price increases will make Disney Plus more profitable, but profitability isn't achievable if customers aren't willing to pay it in the first place. His statement that churn wasn't as bad as expected ignores the larger issue. Disney Plus isn't just losing subscribers, it's failing to retain them because its content isn't compelling enough to justify the cost. And then he goes on to compare the numbers to Netflix and to Hulu, which, like I said, Disney owns a stake in Hulu in part with Comcast, but apparently Comcast wants to get out of Hulu because they want to focus more on Peacock, which is their own streaming service. But he gives a really good suggestion for Disney in regards to their streaming service. With another drop expected in Q2, Disney needs to rethink its approach. Raising prices while delivering underwhelming content isn't a sustainable strategy, especially when competitors like Netflix, Prime Video, and even Paramount Plus are offering more compelling program. If Disney Plus wants to remain a serious player in the streaming wars, it needs to do more than just increase prices and crack down on password sharing. It needs to give people a reason to stay subscribed, because right now, Disney is charging more for a service that fewer and fewer people actually want. You can go read the rest of the article at thatparkplace.com. Read it in its entirety. They go into a lot of the history of things, the finances behind it, and they have a ton of other great articles on the entertainment industry. What were they thinking? It was bogus to raise prices and to crack down on password sharing. First of all, if I'm a subscriber to Disney Plus and I'm paying for the ability to screen it on more than one screen, why should that screen just be in my household? How obnoxious for Disney Plus and Netflix and Hulu and Max and Paramount Plus to crack down on password sharing when I pay to have it on multiple screens. That is incredibly stupid. I think that I, as the customer, if I pay for it, I should be able to allow any member of my family, any friend I want to be able to watch it. It is so stupid that I am kneecapped because they just want to make a buck. And second of all, I agree with that Park Place. Price hikes during a downturn is insanely a bad idea. What you want to do is you want to raise prices when your product is popular. If you do it while your product is not popular, it's just going to make the people who stuck with you get angry. For example, in the town where I attended college, there was this restaurant. It was kind of one of those places where you can go. It wasn't really a buffet, but you could go in and you could serve your own salad. You could give your order to the person and you sat. And it was really popular among seniors in that area. And they would go to it after church, basically. That's exactly what it was. It was an after church sort of restaurant. Or if you were meeting up with a friend, you would eat there. Well, the food was kind of old style, kind of like a hometown buffet or a Boston market. And so it wasn't really popular with younger demographics unless they were just there to celebrate their grandparents' birthday. That's exactly what it was for. Now, during the lockdowns, you remember when the government illegally put us under house arrest? The restaurant obviously suffered a little bit because their prime demographic especially could have gotten the disease, right? So what they did was they tried to appeal to a younger crowd when the lockdown started to be lifted by adding more menu items and whatnot. But this didn't work, but their regular attendees started coming back. Well, to save even more on cost, one of the things that was really cool, I had eaten at this restaurant a couple of times. They always served you on very nice china, very nice glassware. They had really nice forks, really nice cups. Well, to save cost of constantly washing these dishes, they decided to serve their customers paper plates. Nothing wrong with that. I've eaten at many restaurants that use paper plates and styrofoam plates. It's totally fine, but not at this restaurant where their core demographic expected something nice. And on top of that, they hiked their prices. So remember, they're experiencing a downturn because of the lockdowns. They tried to get new customers. It didn't work. Their old customers came back, but then they rewarded them by price hikes and devaluing their restaurant. As a result of this, the regular customers stopped coming back, and apparently it went downhill pretty quickly and it closed down. And it's a shame because it was a staple of the town. People knew it, people recognized it. I think it's a different restaurant now. I could be wrong about that. But that is what Disney Plus is doing. It's a mistake. Netflix made this mistake as well. Now, Netflix is winning people back because they're kind of doubling down on anime, which is really smart of them. They've given up on child exploitation films like Cuties, and they're bringing in like action and fantasy sort of animes. Good for them. I hope they don't ruin them with their sub and dub issues. But I will say, Disney Plus, this was a very foolish move. Bob Iger, he's been there too long. It's time for him to transition out. You need to bring in someone else. And quite frankly, Disney needs to stop using Disney Plus as a way for fans to keep up with what's going on in their respected franchises. They need to just start putting their TV shows out on ABC or the Disney Channel or whatever the other one is, Toon Disney, I guess, whatever channels they have. They need to start putting Star Wars on ABC. They need to start putting Marvel on ABC and running them that way, and then just use Disney Plus as a vault for those shows, not where customers will come in and watch it. Because quite frankly, even me as being a fan of the Infinity Saga, the MCU, and fan of the Spider-Man films, I think it's kind of gotten a little muddled, especially with the failure that was Secret Invasion, the failure that was Agatha All Along, and Echo, and She-Hulk Attorney at Law. It's just been a disaster, and they mean nothing to anyone who cares about Marvel. This is true of the ratings. This is true of the lack of toy sales. So I really think Disney needs to pull back completely from Disney Plus. Let it just be the Disney Vault, where people can go in and watch archived films, television shows, even events and stuff like that, like concerts or events at Disney World and Disneyland, or even in other parts of the world, right? That is what they should be doing with Disney Plus. But they won't listen to a guy like me because Bob Iger, he's been there for so long. Well, Disney shareholders are learning this lesson very hard, that they should be listening to guys like me, their consumer, their customer, their longtime fans. Because if they don't, Disney is going to go to the way of 20th Century Studios. If you like that video, be sure to give it a like, share it out to all your friends, leave me a comment on what you think, and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, ring that little bell so you get notifications when I post a new vidcast, and consider becoming a channel member. If you would be so kind, head on over to my website, StudioJakeMedia.com. It's where I have even more pop culture news, reviews, and commentary on your favorite topics like anime, film, television, novels, music, and so much more. Best of all, it's free and there are no ads. You just have to sign up with your email address so you get a notification when I post a daily article, sometimes more than daily, but definitely daily, or you can do it through the WordPress app. If you want to support the work that I do, head on over to my locals community. The link is in the description of the video. You can sign up for a monthly subscription, or you can send my articles tips. Either way works for me. I would really appreciate it because I post exclusive content there, and that's where I publish my short stories. Speaking of stories, I have 4 novels out now. I've got the supernatural thriller Cacophony, which is about a group of angels who are battling demons in a war for the souls of a small Texas town. You're definitely not going to want to miss this, especially if you're into the supernatural and the paranormal. If you're more into magical realms, check out my series, The Seven Royals. Book 1 is All Good Things. Book 2 is Breaking the Stars. And Book 3, which will be the conclusion to this trilogy, is coming very soon. It follows a group of your favorite fairy tale characters who have to defend their lands against a dark army. It's going to be fantastic. I really think you would love it. Last but certainly not least is my new novella, Blessed Child. It is a fantasy romance that follows an elven princess who discovers she is pregnant with a human child. This sends the elven kingdom into chaos. So her father, the king of the elves, hires a disgraced knight who is on the path of redemption to be her bodyguard. The two form an unlikely friendship as they navigate through all kinds of chaos. It is about faith. It is about courage under fire, and it is life affirming. So pick this one up, the others, or all 4, and leave me a 5-star review. They're all available on Amazon. It really helps out a small indie creator like myself. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time right here on Studio Jake.
'Cause I've been living life right like I